Good morning, Miss Beverly and my fellow classmates. My name is Leong Hawi, and here is my team members, Chin Fui Wen, Jackie Lin, and Victoria Tam. We are from Group 5. This is our table of contents, and today we will be presenting the similarities and differences in multiple dimensions between the United Kingdom, India, Canada, New Zealand, and Germany. So to begin with, I will talk about the employment laws between India Equal Remuneration Act of 1976 vs the UK Equality Act of 2010. The similarities between both acts aim to ensure equal remuneration. Furthermore, both acts aim to prevent employees from discriminating against employees on the basis of their gender when it comes to wages, bonuses, and benefits. In contrast, the differences is that the India Act focuses on remuneration disparities based on gender, while the UK Act covers a wider range of protected characteristics addressing discrimination and unequal treatment beyond just gender. Next is the Act between India, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020, vs UK, the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. The similarities of both acts is emphasizing the responsibility of employers to provide a safe working environment and employees' duty to follow prescribed safety measures. Furthermore, both acts recognize the importance of conducting risk assessment in the workplace to ensure the health and safety of workers. However, the differences is that the India Code covers a broader range of working conditions beyond health and safety, while the UK Act specifically focuses on health and safety matters in the workplace. Next, Canada.
Thank you. So now I will be presenting the Canada's employment law. Due to the unique characteristic of Canada, its employment law is separated based on provinces and controlled by federal jurisdiction. In this situation, I have chosen Ontario, the most populous province in Canada, as my topic. For Canada, Occupational Health and Safety Act 1990 versus UK Health and Safety at Work Act, both acts aim to prioritize safety and healthy workplace. Besides that, both acts contains of risk assessment to recognize and diminish workplace hazard. For the differences, the scope and application for Canada, it applies to all workplaces under federal jurisdiction, such as federal government departments, crown corporation, and industries. While for UK, it applies to all workplace which is national, including businesses, organization, and self-employed individuals. For the second differences, it is enforcement and penalties. Canada primarily carried out by federal government agencies such as Canadian Centre of Occupational Health and Safety. Penalties for non-compliance can include fines, imprisonment, and other regulatory actions. For UK, it is enforced by Health and Safety Executive. Penalties for non-compliance can include fines, imprisonment, but also improvement of or prohibition notices and other enforcement actions. For the second act, the similarities is both focused on protecting the rights of workers and regulating working time. The differences is the calculation of maximum working time and the annual leave. For Canada, the code provides at least one break every 5 consecutive hours of work of a minimum duration of 30 minutes. For UK, if you are aged 18 or over, you are entitled to 11 hours rest between each working day, 1 rest day in each working week. This could be averaged out over 2 weeks, so you will be entitled to 2 days off in a fortnight. For the second differences, annual leave, Canada, the annual leave will be given around 2 weeks after 1 year of employment, while for UK, there will be a minimum of 5.6 weeks, which is 28 days of paid annual leave for full-time employees. Next, New Zealand.
Thank you, Vic. The following is the comparison of employment law between UK and New Zealand. The first similarity is leave entitlements. Both countries have provided statutory parental leave entitlements to support employees' work-life balance and well-being. For the UK of the Maternity and Parental Leave Act Regulation 1999, an employee is entitled to 18 weeks of ordinary maternity leave and 29 weeks of additional leave if she has been working for the business for more than 1 year. Ordinary leave is paid, additional leave is unpaid. For the New Zealand of Parental Leave and Employment Protection Act 1987, an employee who has been working for the business for more than 1 year, which has up to 26 weeks of primary career leave and another 26 weeks of unpaid and extended leave. The second similarity is minimum wage. Both countries have implemented minimum wage laws to ensure that workers receive a fair and reasonable wage for their work. Employers must be paid the minimum wage for those who are 16 years of age or older. According to National Minimum Wage Act 1998 by the UK, the national minimum wage is £9.18. According to the New Zealand of Minimum Wage Act 1983 by New Zealand, the minimum wage rate is $20 per hour. Next are the differences between both countries, which is Employment Relations Act 1999 for the UK and Employment Relations Act 2000 for New Zealand. The first point is employment agreements. You can mandate that the contract could appear in other place, such as the employee handbook, the job offer letter, or within a written statement or a verbal agreement. In contrast, New Zealand mandate that employers must provide a written employee agreement to employees which outline the term and condition of employment. The second point is unfair dismissal protection. New Zealand provides statutory protection against unfair dismissal for all employees, irrespective of the length of service. In the UK, employee must have completed at least 2 years of continuous service to be eligible for protection against unfair dismissal. Next.
The German's employment law, which is a minimum wage act, and the national minimum wage act in the United Kingdom. According to these two employment laws, there are some similarities, which is minimum wage requirements. Both establish statutory minimum wage that the employers must pay to their employees. The minimum wage ensures that the workers receive a fair and a minimum levels of pay for their works. However, there are difference of these two employment law, which is age threshold. The age threshold for different minimum wage rate may differ between the two acts. For example, in Germany, the general minimum wage apply to the workers and age 18 and above, while in the UK, the national living wage apply to the workers age 23 and above. Next is the General Act on Equal Treatment in Germany and the Equalities Act in UK. There are some similarities, which is a prohibited ground of discriminations or prohibit discriminations on various grounds. For instance, the AGG cover the race, gender, and religions. The Equality Act in UK also prohibits discriminations on this ground, along with additions protected characteristics such as marriage and civil partnerships. However, the difference between these two employment law, which is additional protected characteristic. The Equality Act extends the list of protected characteristics beyond those covered by the AGGs. These additional characteristics include marriage and civil partnerships.
Next, for the cultural system and business practices, we choose to use Hofstede cultural dimensions to address the data. Firstly is power distance index. India scores high as compared to UK with the score of 77 on this dimension, indicating an appreciation for hierarchy and a top-down structure in society and organizations. Employees expect to be directed clearly as to their functions and what is expected of them. Communication is top-down and directive in its style. Next, Canada.
According to Hofstede, Canada is slightly higher than UK, a score of 39, which is also considered as low power distance. Canadian culture is marked by interdependence among its inhabitants, and there is value placed on egalitarianism. This is also reflected by the lack of overstatus and class distinction in society. Besides that, the hierarchy in Canadian organizations is established for convenience. Superiors are always accessible, and managers rely on individual employees and teams for their expertise. It is customary for managers and staff members to consult one another and to share information freely. With respect to communication, Canadians value a straightforward exchange of information. Next, New Zealand.
So for the New Zealand, the power distance is relative law. This means that the individual tend to value equality, fairness, and open communications in the workplace. Hierarchical structure may be less pronounced, and decision-making processes often involve input from various levels of employees. Next, Germany.
According to the Hofstede cultural dimension, Germany is a low power distance country with the score of 35. There are many rights of core determinations which must be taken into account by the decision maker. For instance, Germany companies tend to have better hierarchical structures with a fewer layer of management. This means that the decision is often decentralized, and there is a greater emphasis on collaborations and teamwork. Next.
In the individualism vs collectivism dimension, India with the score of 48 is a society with both collectivist and individualist traits. The collectivist side means that there is a high preference for belonging to a larger framework. Hiring and promotion decisions are often made based on relationship. Moreover, on the individualist aspect of Indian society is seen as a result of its dominant religion or philosophy, Hinduism. The Hindus believe in a cycle of death and rebirth and being dependent upon how the individual live the preceding life. Next, Canada.
For Canada, it has the scores of 80 on this dimension, which is almost the same with UK. It can be characterized as an individualist culture. Similar to its American neighbor to the south, this translates into a loosely knit society in which the expectation is that people look after themselves and their immediate families. Similarly, In the business world, employees are expected to be self-reliant and display initiative. Nevertheless, Canadians tend to be noticeably more modest, indirect, and considered in voicing their opinions. Next, New Zealand.
New Zealand tends to be a highly individualist society. People value personal freedom, autonomy, and self-expression. In the workplace, this means individuals often prioritize their own goals and achievement over groups or collective efforts. Employees generally expect to be given autonomy, and have the freedom to make decisions independently. Next, Germany.
The Germany society is truly individualist with a score 67. In Germany, people tend to be more interested in dealing with their own concerns, giving priorities to their personal objective, and being inclined to highlight their own achievement and success. In organization, there is often a strong emphasis on individuals' responsibilities and accountabilities. Each employee is expected to take ownerships of their tasks and projects, making individuals decisions and taking initiative to drive their work forwards.
Lastly, in the dimension of masculine vs feminine, India scores 56 on this dimension and is considered a masculine society in terms of visual display of success and power. Their focus is on success and achievement validated by material gains. Work is the center of one's life, and visible symbols of success in the workplace are very important. Next, Canada.
Canada scores 52 on this dimension and can be characterized as a moderately masculine society. They strive to attain high standards of performance in both work and entertainment. Canadians also tend to have a work-life balance and are likely to take time to enjoy personal pursuits, family gatherings, and life in general. This is not to say that Canadians are not hard workers. As a general rule, Canadians strive to attain high standards of performance. Next, New Zealand.
New Zealand's score 58 has traditionally been considered a masculine society, emphasizing competitiveness, assertiveness, and success-oriented behavior. This trait is often reflected in the workplace, where achievement, ambitions, and financial reward are highly valued. Next, Germany.
Germany is considered as a masculine society with a score of 66 on the masculinities dimensions. This dimension indicates the value of life of the peoples in the societies. Being considered as a masculine society, German people take life seriously, competitive, and very much into the high standard of performance. In this, there is often a strong focus on individuals' performance and professionals' accomplishments. Employees are expected to demonstrate their competence, drive, and result-oriented mindset.
For the recruitment and selection process details, in UK, we have chosen Shell PLC. Shell has chosen a geocentric staffing approach. This approach is to hire the most suitable people to fit the positions. The recruit process for Shell is first they advertise on global job boards, source candidates online, access to global employee database, provide suggestions, and ask for referrals. The selection process at UK basically is like decide which staffing approach is most suitable for this particular case, consider the budget with finance, determine which recruitment methods that work for this approach, and allocate your budget. After that, evaluate candidates based on their self-motivated and able to communicate well, global mindset, technical savvy, and also make sure the chosen job applicant is legally permitted to work. Last, close the hire and focus on the paperwork. Approach to HR regarding how to proceed with legal procedures regarding visas, immigration, policies, or taxes. Next.
The Tata Group is primarily adopting ethnocentric approach. The company places a strong emphasis on its home country, India, and maintains significant control over decision-making and strategic direction from its headquarters. Furthermore, the leadership position within the company are typically filled by Indian executives. Moreover, the similarities between both Shell and Tata Group emphasize the importance of reference check and interviews as a common and important component of the recruitment process to ensure that the selected candidate is qualified, reliable, and a good fit for the organization. On the other hand, the difference is that the specific types of assessment used by each company may vary, and each company may prioritize different criteria for candidate selection. Shell may focus on technical expertise and industry experience, while Tata Group may value cultural fit, ability, and long-term potential. Next.
For Canada, I have chosen Royal Bank of Canada. Royal Bank of Canada is a Canadian multinational financial services company and the largest bank in Canada by market capitalization. The staffing approach for Canada is region-centric approach. The similarities for United Kingdom and Canada is job advertising. Both Canada and the UK utilize various channels to advertise job vacancy. Secondly, equal opportunity and non-discrimination. Both Canada and the UK emphasize equal opportunity and non-discrimination in their recruitment and selection processes. Thirdly, the interviews. Interviews plays a crucial role in the recruitment and selection process in both countries. Employers in Canada and the UK commonly conduct face-to-face interviews either individually or in panel formats. While for the differences is the legal framework. Canada and the UK have different laws and regulations governing recruitment and selection practices. The specific legislation and requirements related to employment equity, non-discrimination, and data protection. For the second one, job application formats, there may be differences in the preferred formats for job applicants. In the UK, it is common for candidates to submit CVs along with cover letters. In Canada, candidates often submit resumes, which tend to be shorter and more focused on relevant qualification and work experience. For the third one, recruitment channels, the preferred recruitment channels may differ between Canada and the UK. While both countries commonly use online job boards and company websites, there may be variation in the popularity and usage of specific platforms. Additionally, recruitment agencies play a significant role in the UK, whereas in Canada, employers may rely more on direct hiring and referrals. Next.
New Zealand company that I choose is Fonterra. Fonterra is a New Zealand company and is one of the largest dairy companies in the world. Fonterra play a significant role in New Zealand economy and is responsible for a substantial portions of the country dairy export. Fonterra, being a New Zealand-based company, primarily follow a polycentric staffing approach. In a polycentric approach, a company hires and promotes employees based on their understanding of the local market and culture. There are two similarities and differences in the recruitment and selection process between UK and New Zealand. The first similarity is job advertisement. Employer in the UK and New Zealand advertise job vacancy through various channels, including online job boards, company website, newspaper, and recruitment agency. This aim is to attract a diverse pool of qualified candidates. The second similarity is background check. UK and New Zealand place importance on conducting background check to verify information provided by candidates. This can include checking educational qualifications, employment history, criminal records, and professional memberships. In contrast, the first differences is legal framework. Both New Zealand and the UK have specific legislation governing recruitment and selection practices. In the UK, the Equality Act 2010 prohibits discrimination based on protected characteristics such as age, gender, race, and religion. In New Zealand, the Human Rights Act 1993 and the Employment Relations Act 2000 ensure fair and non-discriminatory practices in recruitment and selections. The second differences is interviews. In both countries, interview play an important role in the selection process. However, there may be differences in the interview format. In the UK, structured interview with predetermined questions are commonly used. New Zealand, on the other hand, may have a more informal approach with open-end questions to assess cultural fit and adaptability.
In an ethnocentric approach to staffing, Adidas would primarily rely on an employee from his home country, Germany, to fill key positions in his international operations. For instance, the top management at Adidas Germany would have a significant control over the staffing decision across all the international locations. They would play an important role in selecting and assigning employees to the various positions within the global organizations. There are some similar recruitment and selection process between both Adidas and sales. Job advertising, both sales and Adidas use various channels to advertise their job vacancies, including their respective website, online job board, and recruitment agencies. The second is application screening. Both companies employ initiate screening process to review and assess applicants' qualifications, skill, and experience. However, the difference between both companies, which is focused on skill and experience, sales being an energy company often places a strong emphasis on technical skill and experience relevant to the oil and gas industry. On the other hand, Adidas being a sportswear brands may prioritize skill and experience related to the fashion, design, marketing, and retail. The second is a cultural fit. Adidas, as a Germany companies, may place an importance on a cultural fit within its organizations. This can involve assessing indicate alignments with German workplace norms, values, and company-specific corporate cultures. On the other hand, sales being a multinational company may focus more on candidate ability to work in diverse teams and adapt to different culture and environments. This is our reference. Okay, thank you. That's all from us.